Here's a question: what would it look like if Konami had made one more SpeedDuel box for the GX era? I feel like as a whole, this is like a really fun, entertaining question to ponder over, just because I feel like there's still so much more that you could have done with the GX era, and with Konami pretty much announcing that there's no more product that's going to be coming out after the release of the Battle City Finals, this could be a really fun thing to do. I've already done this before with my hypothetical SpeedDuel box based on Duelist Kingdom, and if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description below. And I had a ton of fun doing this, so why not try it out for the GX era as well? And in this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about what exactly this box would look like, what characters would be included, and in the following videos, we're going to be breaking down each of the character decks with each of their cards that are going to be included in them. So with all that being said, if you do end up enjoying today's video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Alright, with all that being said, let's begin. So, a SpeedDuel box based around the GX era. Now, before we can get into actually discussing what a SpeedDuel box like this would look like internally, we first have to break down what exactly a SpeedDuel box has to look like in order to seem somewhat realistic. For example, what I mean by this is that this box would probably be a full box set, meaning that there'd be 8 different characters included in this box, plus a bunch of miscellaneous cards as well. And in addition, each of those characters' decks have to be constructed in a certain way. For example, if a character is using an archetype that's already been included into the game, then for the most part, roughly like 60% of the cards in those decks should be new, while the other 40% should be probably old reprints. While archetypes that are brand new to the game, there's pretty much free reign with those, because for the most part, you're trying to introduce a brand new archetype into the game. In addition, a lot of these decks have to be constructed in a certain way, where you have to have cards that fit the idea of the deck, where you're trying to facilitate a certain strategy while making it still playable enough to be played in a sealed format. That includes giving the deck enough monsters to attack with, enough battle traps to deal with the battle phase, and also cards to deal with back row. So that's going to be some of the things we're going to have to include in each of these character decks. Also, we have to be relatively tame with some of the cards we introduce into each of these character decks, just because it still is speed duels, so the format is relatively tame, comparatively speaking, to a lot of the other formats in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. So we can't go too crazy with the cards we include. However, this doesn't mean we can't include some pretty good cards in each of these character decks. Since one of the trends that I've noticed with speed duels in each of the boxes we've received thus far is that the power level of each of these boxes gets higher, and higher, but very gradually. So I'm going to be trying to follow that same trend as well. That will make a lot more sense once you see some of the cards that I include in each of these character decks. Alright, but with all that being said, let's go ahead and discuss the theming and what characters we could potentially see in a SpeedDuel box like this. So, a SpeedDuel box based around the GX era. What would that look like? And what would it be based on? Well, here's the thing. A lot of these SpeedDuel boxes, they tend, at least for the GX era, they tend to be based around a certain arc in the anime, and they take loose interpretations of characters that would be included in this arc. This can be perfectly seen in the Shadow Rider SpeedDuel box set. In this set, we got a ton of different characters that vaguely tied into that arc, even though they weren't actually tied to the Dark Jaden arc. And that's what I mean. In my opinion, I feel like if we got one more SpeedDuel box, it would be based around the finale of the Yubel arc, with Yubel and Jaden having their final duel. And therefore, Yubel would be one of the highlighted characters in a set like this. In addition, I just don't think Konami would ever consider releasing a SpeedDuel box based around the GX era's Season 4, I believe it's called, like the lost season that we never ended up getting in the West. Just because SpeedDuels is a product primarily catered to the West, and therefore, if we're given an arc that we never actually received nor watched, then Konami really wouldn't have any reason to go ahead and print a set like that. However, I do feel like some of those characters from that lost season could wiggle their way into a box like this. A character like the guy that plays Clearworld comes to mind. This could be a really cool and interesting way of including an archetype like Clearworld into SpeedDuels. And I feel like that could be really fun, also because the character kind of just fits the vibe of the Yubel arc. In addition, in my opinion, I feel like this SpeedDuel box would try to refine a lot of the characters that never really received the support that they deserved. Characters that come to mind are characters like Viper, a character that we ended up getting a skill for but never an actual deck for. That could be a really cool way to introduce cards like Vinamanaga, the Queen of Poisonous Snakes. In addition to Viper, I could definitely also see characters like Aster and even Zane getting more support to go ahead and flesh out their strategies. Aster, for example, really needs help fleshing out those Destiny Hero monsters because the cards that he has right now are not great. And as for Zane, while his Cyber Dark strategy is pretty damn good, I would love to have seen him receive a lot more Cyber Dragon support in addition to go and balance it out. So I could definitely see something like that happening. Other characters that could potentially be introduced in a box like this could be characters like Brody, but he has a pretty fleshed out volcanic strategy already. Jesse could be another character we could see as well, with the Dark Crystal Beast monsters and maybe some other support along that line. An interesting character that we could also see in a box like this could be Blair, but that one feels a bit too difficult just because she doesn't really have a cohesive strategy in the TCG if we don't include actual anime cards. And I wanted to go ahead and make this as realistic as possible with real TCG cards, with cards they actually used in the anime. Besides Blair, we can also see a character like Cyrus get support. Cyrus I feel like has a lot of support already in the game, but nevertheless, we can still add a bit more to the Roid strategy, which could help a lot. One of the coolest features of a box like this is that it could finally introduce an archetype like Dark World into the game. We've already received a few of the Dark World monsters, but getting a bunch more of those Dark World monsters alongside a skill that makes the strategy viable could be really fun and really cool, as long as you don't print the problematic Dark World monsters. Of course, a box set like this would also have to include a character like Jaden in it, just because with him being the protagonist and him having to duel the Yubel, it feels very much necessary. But as to what kind of strategy Jaden would get, well, that's where it gets tricky. Just because he receives a lot of his Neospatial support already in the Midterm Destruction box, and a lot of his E-Hero support, it feels very repetitive at this point. Of course, there are tons and tons of other characters that could be included, as characters like Adrian Gecko could receive more support, we could see characters like Alexis potentially get more support as well, and I'm probably missing a few more. In the comment section below, let me know, would you be excited for a SpeedDuel box like this? I personally would love to see a SpeedDuel box like this just because it includes so many characters and archetypes that I would have loved to have seen included in SpeedDuels that I feel like Konami just missed out on including. For the most part, this project is completely done now and all I have to do is just edit and release the videos. And I do plan on releasing the next video, probably tomorrow, for the first character in the SpeedDuel box. I won't say which character it is yet, I'll leave that as a surprise for now. But feel free to pitch in any ideas you have. I could always make some tweaks here and there. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching till the end. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.